I'm about to show you something extremely controversial. It's even illegal in the state of Israel to obtain this. And if you do obtain it, it's illegal to show it and or talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, my DNA. Now, I bet you thought it was going to be a lot crazier than that, right? Now, you might ask yourself, why is it illegal to obtain this in the state of Israel? Because it proves through your DNA that Jews around the world have no ancestral ties to the land of Israel. Because it proves through your DNA that Jews around the world have no ancestral ties to the land of Israel.
We Jews have been in the land of Israel since the times of biblical Joshua.
Who is we? No, really, who is we? You live in Israel, so I don't expect you to be able to provide genetic or ancestral receipts for your claims about us Jews. Who is we? No, really, who is we? You live in Israel, so I don't expect you to be able to provide genetic or ancestral receipts for your claims about us Jews, because those kinds of receipts are illegal in Israel without a court order and other special permissions. The Jerusalem Post explains, such a thing cannot exist as kits sold directly to the public, going on to say that they have possible effects on subjects and their families. Furthermore, the national implications of these tests could hold or affect, nice grammar Jerusalem Post, could hold or affect with Israel being a government-recognized Jewish state. Don't you just love when they say the quiet parts out loud? But since they won't let you get receipts for us Jews, I brought my own. Wow. So I, an Ashkenazi, have no genetic or ancestral ties to the region of historic Palestine. I, an Ashkenazi, have no genetic or ancestral ties to the region of historic Palestine. And yet Israel still claims it's my homeland, which I could move to and become a citizen of under the ironically named Law of Return.
Have you heard of the Kuzalim?
Yeah, that's us. That's me, actually.
Okay, so what is your... this is a question that comes from outside of Israel. What is your opinion about the theory that Ashkenazim came from Kuzalim?
I think it seems relevant. It's quite obvious that white Jewish people, Ashkenazim from Europe, are not genetically, as much as I can tell, I'm not an expert, but they don't look the same like Arab Jews, people that came from Arab countries, and Ethiopians. I don't think there's a lot of, there may be some genetic relations, but there's a lot of genetic differences, and any theory that says that we're not genetically come from the same ancestors makes sense to me,
What do you think? Now, if we go into the Bible, come on, turn your Bibles to Genesis 10. It will tell you who the Ashkenazis are. It states in the Bible in Genesis 10 in the second verse that Japheth had children. He had sons. His first son was Gomer, and then Gomer had a son named Ashkenaz. Now this Ashkenaz is what we will see or was called Ashkenazi. But his whole lineage of sons, if you read to the end, it said that they are of the isles of the Gentiles. That's right. Didn't say Jews, didn't say Hebrews, didn't say Israelites. It said the isles of the Gentiles. Because we know that the descendants of the Israelites are from Shem. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all come from Shem. But what many don't tell you is that when you look at the people who say they're Jews, some say they're Russian, German, some say they might be from Poland. They're from all of these different European countries. But what I love about this thing is that there are many right now who are doing DNA tests outside of Israel and proclaiming the fact that there is no connection.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and even the elder bishops of Great Millstone. And you fellow believers, followers of the faith. Let me say you other brothers as well. You other elders and brethren, you believers, you followers of the faith, even you few sisters. Shalom to the elect. So, this video popped up from the Go Black to Africa channel. He says some good things, but then he goes off, and that's our job to put it back on course. So, because of the nature of the video, there's things he said in there that I can't even say as us in the truth. There's things we can't say, or the Spirit, I may just say it. Hey, it's what it is. I got many channels. But this guy said something about Japheth, who those people are Japheth. So we must understand that just because those people put themselves in a land and they came from different lands of Japheth, don't make them Japheth, right? Period. You had the Romans who were Edomites, right? You can clearly see Petra, Edom. You can see the similarities. You can see their houses look like some of our houses. You know, everything is wood. Everything is not wood. Everything is stone, right? Like the cliffs of the rock. We'll get into that too. But first, I want to go to Genesis 10 that he quoted, and this shouldn't be long. I'm just gonna make it quick. Genesis 10. Yeah, I thought I had Genesis 10. Genesis 10 and 2. It says the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, right? And Mediah and Jajan and Tubal and Meshach. You see Magog, right? And Tiras and the son of Gomer, Ashkenaz, right? And Japheth and Tugomoth. You know, and it just goes on to the list. So you see Ashkenaz here. Those lands were that Edom took and came out of or went into was Japhetic lands. So what they managed to do, Ashkenaz is just a German word. I believe, what did that mean? Sprinkle or something like that. It means to sprinkle. A Ashkenaz, a man as sprinkled, fire as scattered, right? So we see this situation. Let's go to Psalms 49:11, clear this up. This is the same thing they did when they went into the land, and they said that they were the people. It's the same. Everywhere they go, they say it's them, right? Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, right? So whatever they steal, they call it after their names, like Amerigo Vespucci, which goes back to bitter land, right? Leo Scipius Africanus, you know, so you get the point. But these people didn't come from Japheth. There was different nations, right, that came out of Abraham. We'll get into that too. And then we'll prove it in one particular book to prove it ain't them. See, the reason why this is being said, so they can claim to be Japheth, so the judgment not going to come on them like it will on Edom, right? So this is why they're being set to say, okay, these people are the people of Japheth, so they ain't got to receive the judgment. Well, the people of Japheth never put the true biblical Israelites in that kind of bondage. Oh, wait, we was enslaved under all the nations, true, but this kind of bondage you see today. Anything they can to try to escape. But the Lord has different plans. Now, Divine Prospect teaches this too. Just as they took in the name the J and they took it and made it themselves. And you got to remember those lands that they were in before they got there and wasn't even calling themselves that. Prior to that, they were calling themselves something. So you had German, Poland, Russian, and this is where you get the Yid, you know, and everything else from. I'm not going to go into there, but it's clear. But they're only one nationality of people. Okay? Genesis 25:23, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. Right? Talking to Rebekah, you know, Isaac who had with her Rebecca, and she's having Jacob and Esau. It says, and one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So when it says one people stronger than the other people, we see these are two different manners of people that's coming out of Rebecca. And when her days to be delivered, right, were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, right? And after that came out his brother out. So it doesn't say what he looked like. Now people say he came out like a hairy garment. This wasn't going into the fact of their skin color. People will try anything. But the thing about it, they'll try to say, see, ruddy. So why in Genesis 25 being acknowledged as ruddy in that sentence? I wonder why. Why don't it say ruddy in the blue letter even in Genesis 25 and 25? But when King David it says ruddy. But somehow they associated red with ruddy, which meant healthy, beautiful, brown, dark complexion. This is what they say. So anyway, there's two nations in thy womb, two manner of people. So out of Isaac, Abraham, who had Isaac, and Isaac had Jacob and Ishmael. So even still, the Ishmaelites is claiming the Arab. I mean, this is what's being said. We know Islam where it comes from, but this is what's being said. So we can clearly see even out of Abraham, you had a different nation of Ishmael. But then they jumped over Ishmael, right? When it came to Edom, they jumped over Esau and then put him back to Ishmael, for however they did it. But it's just because they were in the lands that they were naming themselves after themselves. They're really just Edom, right? We're going to prove that in Obadiah. Okay, let's go to Obadiah. Psalms 83:3. They have taken crafty counsels against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, right? And they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So we go to Job 30:5. Let me read that real quick. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valley, right? The valleys and the caves. When you go to caves, go to cavities, holes of the earth, and in the rocks. But somehow they're associating this again with the Arabs. Okay? Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. What was done to the Arabs on some level? Now the Arabs did have their hand in the slave trade and all that too. But the media and what they pushed on them is the same thing they pushed on us. That we were just some Africans swinging on jungle vines with a loincloth, right? Taking women and hitting them over the head. When we see who they were, right? They were children of fools, yea, they were children of base men. Now you can look at, as I said, you can take a bird's eye view of any city. It looked like the caves and the cliffs of the rocks. Now even the Romans was in the Japhetic lands, and they got their similarities and names from them. And we know the Romans were Edomites, who also did the same thing. They did the same thing. Every name they got, they pretty much conquered and they stole and kept for themselves. That just because you see this word Ashkenaz, do not make them Japheth. Okay? Let's go to Obadiah. Obadiah 1 and 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. Now we do know other nations do that, right? But even in that land of Russia, where Japheth was, you got the same thing. They took the names and did the same thing. That don't make them Japheth. But you can, when we say Gog and Magog, we can understand those lands, where those lands are located, sure. Even in Europe and so forth. It says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, like even in Babylon, right? But again, where did Edom get it from? Same thing. Everything is taken and hijacked. You got, I believe, Russia, Germany, and various America mainly with that eagle. And though thy set thy nest amongst the stars. Who's been going up amongst the stars? America and Russia, or Russia and America, not in that order. And other nations now too, I believe. Well, they're going up in their space stations. But they're not going to planets, right? It says, and they go up and they put the satellites up, okay? It says, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Okay? And we went into that they dwell in the clefts of the rocks. Okay, let me see. For violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. Who was Jacob brother? Who's Esau brother? Jacob. So we can clearly see here, through process of elimination, this is not the Arabs. And then it says in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. There's no way that these are Japhites running the world and all the things they did, had their hands in what happened to us, and did all these things, right? And clearly the scriptures say that the people that are doing all these things would be in complete power, complete control, and running the earth. Clearly, this can't be the people. It would have to be Edom, the people who are running the world, who are running the show. Now, also, when you go to Revelation 18, and it talks about the shipmasters, and when Babylon is destroyed, let me go there really quick. They would be the people who are running the world, right? Running or have all the power, because the Lord said they would. Now, when you go into Revelation 18, it talks about lament for Babylon, right? And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her. Now, when you go into the slave trade, who do you think was running that? And who do you think was over us? Okay? And now they're trying to say, I guess these other people are Edom, I don't know, but those people in the land over there, they're Japheth because they went into that land. Again, they're trying to push more credit on them because they took the land. That has nothing to do with it. I'm going to just say Amalek. Because they took the land. You had different nations of Edom, believe it or not. Different tribes. So they took the land. But that doesn't exclude them from being from the root of who they are. Again, you can't take a land and you name the land after yourself and then you become that nationality. It doesn't work like that. You just can't go and I can't go into China and take over China. Then I call myself Chinese. But that's what they were doing. Right? So regardless of whatever they call themselves, it still goes back to Edom. Even if the argument, okay, they're Ashkenaz, whatever. It still goes back to Edom, Petra. And that's where it goes back to. And when we read Revelation 18, it talks about the shipmasters and America being destroyed and the smoke burning, and all the nations shall bewail and be upset, right? And then there's nowhere in the scriptures that says Japheth will be setting themselves up like they're the heads of the world and that they're the holy people. There's nowhere in the scriptures that says that. But it does say Edom, who took in crafty counsel and tried to cut off the nation of Israel. Anyway, I wanted to make this a short video. He went off, but another thing I want to touch on is the DNA. I don't understand how the DNA works, but you would have to have a platform or a substandard of someone DNA that's a true Israelite to be able to compare it to say who's an Israelite. You just can't put some markers in and say, okay, they're Israelites. It has to be somebody to compare it to. But I'd imagine whatever was on file they decided, okay, this proves it ain't them. Because they know. They actually know. So I don't go on too much of the DNA because some of them will go off the mitochondria of the mother. And it's the, what do they call that? It's of the father, the patriarch, you know? So you really can't go fully on that. But they know. And this is why we seem to that they probably flipped it through the mother, because they know the history of what happened. But it's illegal? Yeah. You're not going to make something illegal unless you're trying to hide something. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.